Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. And we are right in the middle of our second up close and personal podcast series where we put down the business talk, although we can't always get away from it, and really get to know the practice builders and coaches that you guys voted on a much more personal level. So today we actually have the pleasure of speaking with Katie K. May. You guys know her as the group guru. Wow, I finally said that without getting tongue-tied, I think for the first time after many years. So we're going to dive in and chat with Katie a little bit. But before we get started, if this is the first time you're joining us, what a great time to join us. And we just want to welcome you guys to Startup Nation. And of course, if you're a loyal listener, thanks for coming back. For those of you newbies here with us, we have the gift for you. That's our A to Z cheat sheet, the essentials for building and growing your dream practice. Head on over to privatepracticestartup.com. Slide on over to the resources tab, and there you will see it. And that also comes with 5 days of practice building emails to really support you in your private practice growth. So a little bit about Katie K. She's a licensed therapist and online course creator. She does live in Pennsylvania. She helps therapists market and fill groups and online group programs so they can scale their impact and increase their income without adding more hours in the office. To learn more and gain access to free trainings and resources to generate new clients like magic, visit becomeagroupguru.com. And if you guys haven't met Katie yet, she is the one with the purple hair or the really cool hair all the time. So it's always changing. It's always cool. That's Katie if you haven't met her yet. So before we dive in, let's just take a quick moment to thank our sponsors.
Tired of never quite feeling comfortable with your private practice financials? I'd like you to meet Green Oak Accounting. Their goal is to empower private practice owners with the financial information they need to make good business decisions. They specialize in working with solo and group private practices in the mental health industry, so they are uniquely positioned to help with figuring out what's normal in your business finances and what's not. So if you've ever had a conversation with your accountant or bookkeeper that left you wishing that they understood private practice or had some best practices to share, head over to greenoakaccounting.com and schedule a free consultation to see if they might be a good fit for you. They can help you with all your accounting needs from bookkeeping to payroll to profit first and budgeting and forecasting. Head over to greenoakaccounting.com now.
When it comes to keeping your practice organized, you want software that's not only simple, but the best. We recommend Therapy Notes. Their platform lets you manage notes, claims, scheduling, and they have a new awesome telehealth platform for your online counseling sessions. They offer amazing unlimited phone support and email support, so when you have a question, they are there to help. To get started with the practice management software trusted by over 60,000 professionals, go to therapynotes.com and start a free trial today. Enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and they will give you 2 months to try for free. Go to therapynotes.com.
Katie, hi. Hey. We have the Kate and the two Katies on today.
Yes, all the Ks. And it's so fun to see you because every time we see you, I was commenting on this earlier, you have some new fabulous combination of hair and it always looks so fun. And Katie and I think we got introduced to you, gosh, it's probably been, 3-4 years ago at this point. And then we had the opportunity of meeting you at the Not So Typical Psychotherapist Conference. And it felt like we've known you already because we've had you on the podcast before and just stayed connected online. And then it was so fun to visit you last August, almost a year ago, up in Pennsylvania when we were up there for a business trip. So we got to hug you in person. And yeah, it's great to see you again virtually today.
Yeah, it's good to see you both as well. It's funny you say that was the first time we met at the Not the Typical Psychotherapist Conference, because I do feel like I've known you both forever. So yeah, and I got to bring you to my favorite Mexican food restaurant and we ate tacos together, which is dream come true.
So yeah, if you guys know anything about Katie, she loves tacos. So send good taco places, taco gift cards. She's accepting them.
I accept them all.
Well, speaking of, what is your favorite? Well, your favorite restaurant you said is the one that you took us to. So tell us where that is and the name of that, just in case anyone's in Pennsylvania and wants to check it out.
Okay, so Cantina Feliz, it is a Mexican restaurant in Fort Washington. So I live outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the suburbs, and it's in that area. And what I love so much about them is not only is the food amazing, but I have celiac disease and I can't eat gluten, and they're just like rock stars at knowing me, knowing my allergies, making sure they're not poisoning me. And so I really appreciate that in a restaurant.
So what is your favorite taco? Do you have a favorite one?
Oh, totally. It's the Baja Fish Taco Crispy, and it's crispy with plantains and not wheat. So therefore good. So like I don't get to eat crispy a lot because I can't eat wheat. So it's, it's exciting.
I can second that because I had it at the restaurant. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, so good.
And then we also got to hang out with Melvin, which was also cool. And he brought his daughter, which was so sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's kick it off. Yeah, let's kick it off. And Katie, have you tell us a little bit about the story of you.
Oh my gosh, that's such
where
a
you
big
come
story.
from and what it was like growing up and all that good stuff.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Springfield, Pennsylvania, which again is a suburb outside of Philadelphia. I'm trying to think of the most important parts of my stories. I was always, I guess what I would call like the black sheep in my family. I was always the weirdo, the one that didn't belong. And so that was a part of my narrative all of the time growing up. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I realized that that was actually like my superpower rather than something that made me bad or wrong or defective. And that's when I started to come into my own as, group guru and building my group practice. I would say important milestones about my life along the way. My parents got divorced when I was 10. That's not necessarily like, mind blowing as so many people are divorced in our world. But for me, it was really tough. It was, I don't know what word to use. Violent. It was not fun. So it was a tough part of my life and really kind of like colored how I saw my life, how I saw the world for a lot of years. So my teenage years were pretty troubled because of that.
Mm-hmm. And Katie, do you have siblings? Like who makes up your family?
Yeah, I have an older brother. He's 2 years older who lives in Texas now. And I have a younger sister who's 5 years younger and she lives back where I grew up. So like an hour from where I am now.
Gotcha. And so what led you to decide to, now I know you work with teens now, but what led you into the field overall?
So I actually had not intended to be a therapist. I went to school for journalism. I have a journalism degree, which I think I use all of the time in my writing on social media, in building and marketing my practice. So graduated with a journalism degree, found out pretty soon after graduation that I was pregnant with my son. And so really paused my life and made the decision to be with my son, raise my son. And that's what started my thinking about what do I really want to do? What is the impact that I really want to have on the world? And, like I had shared, I had a really troubled chunk of my life. And so learning that I was expecting helped me to realize there was something outside of myself and wanting to shift some of my own mindset to be in alignment with my values. And that's when I was like, oh, I want to go back to school and be a therapist. So while I was single mom raising my son, I was also going to grad school to be a therapist. And that's what started my career in the field.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot to navigate all at one time. What helped you to get through that particular time while being a new mom, being so young, going to grad school and having all of those balls in the air?
Well, at the time I had moved back home with my dad, so I wasn't necessarily alone and I had some family support. So that was definitely critical. I couldn't go to school at night, work a job during the day, be a mom, all those things without some family support. So that was a huge part of it. And then the other answer is, and I, talk about this now with my husband and he's like, that wasn't difficult for you. And it didn't feel that way for me. And I think it was because that's just my natural tendency is to do all the things. I think I thrive in that kind of environment. Like I get bored easily if I'm not doing all the things. And I'm a really good student. Like I'm good at school. So going didn't feel difficult to me. It felt really exciting. And not only was I learning new content, I was learning new things about myself that I hadn't really awakened as an adult yet. And so it was more of, an exciting period than it was a challenging one. And I found having a baby easier than having, a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old who doesn't just stay in a crib, right? Like there's a lot more to navigate when there's a kid running around and telling you what they want and need than there is when you're just feeding bottles and helping them take naps. So for me, it felt like a really important transition part of my life that didn't feel as hard as maybe some other people might see it.
What were some of the things that you awakened to in grad school?
I think probably the biggest one that I already touched on, I know I dove right in, first statement was like, here's all the things about my life, but was that there's nothing wrong with me for being who I am. You know, I came from a place of hearing that I was too much, that I was too sensitive, like all of those things that highly sensitive people hear all the time. And I was just born into a family that didn't get it and didn't have the know-how to validate and raise a really sensitive kid. And so I went to grad school and I started to become in touch with myself and started to learn about family systems and, you know, some of the dynamics in my home that I was like, oh, like it's not like this in other places. And really just learned how to have a healthy relationship with myself and started to learn how to have healthy adult relationships with other people. I hadn't had any role models for that up until that point. I mean, if you think like I was 26 when I graduated college because I worked a full-time job and put myself through college. And so I was never really an adult until 26, new mom, and then in grad school. And so I really just figured out how to be a person at that point, I think.
As you were getting to have a better relationship with yourself and you were learning all of this about yourself and your family, and then got the clarity that you had been missing for so long, how did your dynamics with your family change and the relationships that you have with them? How did they evolve?
So at this point, and this kind of speaks to the evolution, I only maintain contact with my parents and my siblings. My extended family chose to not keep me in their lives because of some of my choices that were different than their choices. And to be honest, that was very painful for me, you know, with the 2 weeks before my wedding to hear like, we're not coming and you're not welcome. But in the end, it was really a gift for me because I was released from so much that I was carrying that was holding me back from being a full and self-actualized person without all that weight.
Wow.
Gotcha. And I'm curious, as like a kid and or teen, like what were some of the things that you were interested in, hobbies, recreations, just anything?
Yeah. So it's all right. There's a couple parts to this. As like a tween, and this is a weird thing that I get teased on a lot, I had an obsession with Sylvester Stallone, like Rocky movies, Rambo movies. I had his posters on my wall. I don't know what it was about me as like a 12-year-old girl, but that was a thing that I was way into. And like, I had like a cardboard cutout of him in my room. I was everything I do all in, and that was all in. And then as I got to high school, that evolved, and I was what I guess you would call like goth, you know, the style of dress. And I listened to like metal and punk music, and all of my friends were in bands. And it was a really fun time in my life to, you know, I really enjoyed friends in school because that was my place of stability during that time. And I guess whereas other people could look back and say they were bullied for being outliers like that, I actually had my people. And so I never felt like I didn't belong there. So I had really good friends, and they're still my best friends to this day. We have a Snapchat group chat and we talk every day. And so I have really solid friends that I've taken with me since I was 10 years old.
Mm. And what made you then choose coming out of grad school, what made you choose kind of the population that you decided to work with?
I didn't choose that population. I think that population chose me. So I had intended to work with women. I did my internship in a domestic abuse shelter because that was my passion. You know, part of my childhood, felt like purpose to me. And then I was looking for a job, and my son's father's father was corporate in the psychiatric hospitals in the area, and he was like, I can connect you to an interview. It's on you from there, but I can get you this interview. And so I got the interview, and they ended up offering me a position. I mean, salary, benefits, all the things that, you know, I really wanted and needed fresh out of grad school. And so I took this position in a child and adolescent partial program. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I thought it would be too hard for me to work with kids because of how sensitive I am, but I recognized that I just have a knack for being able to connect with teens especially. And so I found my place there.
Very cool.
I know you said that you can often find yourself involved in all the things because you can get kind of bored easily and you have a lot of different facets to your business. So tell us a little bit about the different businesses that you have and what it's like to navigate your life throughout a typical work week.
Yeah, so I have my private practice, my group practice. I have 14 employees and we have 3 locations. Main location is in Flowertown. That's a building that I own. So we operate mainly out of there. And then I have 2 satellite campuses, offices, one in Center City, Philadelphia, and one in King of Prussia. And so on a given day, I still see clients. I have a passion for being a therapist. I'm not ready to give that up yet. So I'm doing that. I'm answering questions from my team. I'm holding supervision. I'm checking in with our office coordinator, who is amazing and does all the frontline stuff. I don't know if I could do it without her, because she's handling all of the emails, the calls, all of those things. And then my Group Guru business, my consulting business where I support other therapists, that to me feels like a natural extension of my in-office work. So essentially, our group practice focuses on running groups for teams as well as individual, but the lifeline of our business is with groups. And so everything we're doing, everything that works well, I'm just sharing those successes and teaching them to other therapists. And so it's not that it's something different completely, but it's having a great group, then hopping on a Facebook Live and saying, hey, this is an activity that worked really well and I wanted to share it with you. So it's just like an added layer of passing it down when it works and sharing what doesn't work so people don't make those mistakes.
Yeah, I'm constantly referring to you and tagging you and be like, check out Katie's stuff because she posts about the groups. You got to check that stuff out. So it's such valuable information. Before we continue, let's just take a quick moment to acknowledge our next sponsor.
If you're looking for a new source of income or wanting to supplement your current work, BetterHelp.com is a great option. BetterHelp allows you the flexibility to choose your caseload size and schedule clients at your convenience. Every day, thousands of people seek the help of licensed therapists at BetterHelp. If you're a licensed therapist or psychologist, BetterHelp is the easiest way to apply your clinical expertise online. With BetterHelp, you can focus 100% of your time on counseling. No need to deal with finding referrals, business operations, managing insurance, or billing. They handle it all. Visit BetterHelp.com/PPS, as in private practice startup, to complete a brief application and get started today. That's BetterHelp.com/PPS.
I am also curious about your journey actually into private practice. When was that? How did you make that decision? And what are some of the things that you learned along the way?
Yeah, so 2014 is when I made that first journey into private practice. I went on Craigslist. I found a person who was looking to sublet her office on Sundays. And I said, are you willing to let me pay you 20% of every client fee that I collect so that I can build my business? Because I don't have the extra money right now. I had just enough for bills and food and maybe this other little thing over here. And so she agreed. It was a day that she wasn't going to work. And I started with a Psychology Today profile. I remember, waking up one morning. At that point, we were living in a tiny apartment. My son was still young. I was married at that time. And I was like, Adam, somebody completed a form on Psychology Today. They actually want to work with me. And so that's how it all started with that one client. And then I grew to 6 clients on Sundays. And I still, months in would have this thought, I can't believe people are paying me to do therapy. This feels too good to be true. But it got to the point where then driving, the city's 40 minutes from where I am. So driving in and out of the city on Sundays and seeing clients, plus working 40 to 50 hours a week in a partial hospital program was just too much for me. So I decided to close up in the city and find a place to rent closer to home. And that's when I started my first group. So I started renting an office, an office share community space by the day, and started a group. Just putting stuff out on Facebook, sharing with my contacts that I had made by being in the field in the partial hospital. There were a lot of school counselors and other agencies that I had connections with at that point. And things kind of exploded from there. One group turned into 2. A lot of those clients wanted to see me individually. So it was just a natural evolution from that point. And then I finally felt like I have 2 full-time jobs. I need to leave one of them. And the one that I want to be in is the one where I work for myself. I find it really hard to follow anyone else's rules. So I knew I couldn't work for someone else for long.
And then walk us through how it evolved to a group practice, because you were doing the groups with your clients, and then how did it evolve from there?
I had 7 groups that I was running on my own, and I had a caseload of anywhere from like 11 to 18 based on the week. So I was working like a good amount of time, and I was continuing to get referrals, and I could refer them out to other people and also know that the people I was referring them out to didn't have the level of DBT training that I had. So I was getting a lot of like self-harming, suicidal adolescents. And for me, like it hurt my heart to think about sending them to someone else that wasn't trained at the level to really support what they were going through. And so I had the thought, well, I can see what happens if I just hire one person under me and train them really well. And so, you know, the office that I was renting space in, it's part of a complex. And there's a sign when you first drive in that says, for office space, call here. And so I thought, maybe I'll just call and see what happens. And then he was like, the realtor was like, yes, I have a space available. And I said, maybe I'll just go look at it and see what happens. And so I just kept taking that next step with no commitment whatsoever until I found myself in a 5-year lease and with 1 employee and then 2 employees. And so it was always just taking that next step and seeing where it went, which is still what I do.
I love it. I'm curious, Katie, you know, for me, business is this constant mirror, right, of growth, right? Like we get to own all of it, you know, all of the failures, all of the rewards and stuff like that. What's something that you've learned about yourself through being a business owner?
The biggest learning curve for me has been managing other people. By nature, I am in my business, I can be very direct. I can be very concrete. I'm very confident. Interpersonally, I am not. I have social anxiety, which you may know from the conferences. I'm like over here, I'm taking breaks. Like, so those kinds of things are hard for me. So being very direct and holding my expectations and saying, this is what you need to do in order to meet my expectation was really challenging for me. I would say even more so, you know, now that we've transitioned to being at home for these past few months and doing things completely online, that I've had to be more direct with my expectations. And so I forget your original question, but something that I've learned along the way is that if I want to uphold the brand and reputation and vision for this empire that I want to build, that I need to be clear and direct in my expectations, even when that's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, no, you totally answered it. So
okay, great.
That. And if you were to start over again with $500 in your pocket, what would you do differently first? Maybe the same?
$500, like total for
just $500. Just starting. What would you do with that $500?
Well, I think I would. Oh, this is so hard. I would definitely get some kind of website set up so I had somewhere to collect contact information, but that might only be like $20 for that first month. And then I would get myself some kind of account to see clients online just to start until I could build some, clients and get myself an office space. And then I'd sink the rest of it into paid advertising to get the people to come to me.
Nice. And I know you talked about really having this vision and this empire. Will you share that with us, what that looks like for you?
So I'm always careful. Oh, no.
We still see you, girl.
I am always careful not to be so absolute because my vision does evolve and change. But right now, I have my 3 locations. The 1 is fully built out. The other 2, not as much. I opened the second 2 in the past year. And like the 3rd office, we haven't even been in it yet. We just opened it. I'm paying rent and we're not there yet. So my first part of my vision is to fully get all of our offices, up on the map. Part of my vision is to continue to have interns that I'm able to teach and train and do really solid work with. And so my model has been, I have this main center where I'm able to train people up and then disperse them into satellite locations where I can trust them to carry on my brand. And so that's part of my long-term vision. So it's really kind of maintaining what I have right now and making sure that I'm making a positive impact on my community and with my clients. And really building out some more of these like charitable parts of my practice where we're able to do pro bono work with the communities that are important to us. And so not much different than right now, just bigger and better than it is right now.
Gotcha. And I'm so curious, of course, always as a couples counselor, I always want to know about the relationships. Tell us about Adam. How did you guys meet? Tell us a little bit about your relationships.
So Adam was my high school crush. We did not talk in high school though. We had mutual friends and we had one interaction in high school where he's also like artsy and he had put in our lit magazine that he wanted to do an alt lit magazine where there was no censorship. And so he was like, call for submissions, anyone who wants to write anything. So I wrote this like raunchy poem with lots of F-bombs in it. And I passed it off to him in the hallway. And then later he's like, yeah, no one else submitted anything. So I never created it. So that was our only interaction. And then we reconnected through Facebook. So years later, and he was just like, hey, through Messenger. And I was like, hey, and we started talking, and I had my son at that point, and he was living in New York, and we just kind of like kept getting to know each other. He came home for Thanksgiving, and because we had mutual friends, we were both going to a bonfire that was like the high school gathering. And that was our first date. And we've been together ever since then. I mean, he, in terms of like my personal growth, for somebody to believe in me and help me see what it's like to have a really solid and healthy relationship, he's been so critical as a part of that. And I also credit his parents for just being such amazing and kind-hearted people. And, you know, I cry every time I talk about this, but his dad being a person who would say, you know, sometimes when you talk to me with sarcasm like that, it makes me feel like you don't like me. Like, that's not a specific thing he would say, but that kind of thing, where I wasn't used to how to interact in a family in a way where I felt safe and comfortable. And his genuine feedback helped me learn how to be more safe and comfortable. And it came from a place of caring. So really, like, you know, the best people. I love them so much.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, shout out to Adam's parents. I love it.
Yes.
Really cool. They'll definitely have to listen to this podcast. What's one of the favorite things about your relationship with Adam?
I love so many things about being with him. What I love the most is that we have similar values, and that we want the same things out of life, and that he makes me laugh. Like, just, you know, dancing around the house, or he's very funny. He makes lots of jokes, and how much he's a good father to my son. Adam is the cook in the house. Adam's the one who helps with all the homework. Adam's the one who does bedtime, and not because he feels obligated, but because he and my son have such a special relationship, and he's so good at it. And so I think, you know, just the solid and really good person that he is makes me so happy to be with him. And like how comfortable it is to just watch Netflix shows with him. Like, we like the same shows. So that's just great, right?
And does Adam love tacos as much as you?
I wouldn't say they're his favorite, but I would say he wouldn't turn down a taco if it were in front of him. So it works out.
What's one of the Netflix shows that you recently binged on and loved?
We just finished Dead to Me, the Christina Applegate show, and it was like, so what I think we both needed was something really intense, but not focused on the intensity of our lives right now. So being able to just go all in, and we binged it in maybe a week or two, and we're done. Now we're doing Queer Eye, and it's a Philadelphia season, so that's fun to watch too.
Oh, very cool. And what do you guys do for fun outside of Netflix?
We like to, well, we work out together. We have a home gym. So that's like our special couple time, is like we, you know, hang out, we work out. But outside of that, we like to go out to restaurants. We like to travel and just walk around cute little towns, like just kind of, I don't know, hanging out together and being in different spaces.
So obviously we're on the we're kind of in the middle of COVID. Nobody really knows what's going to happen with the pandemic and whatnot, and how it's going to continue to unfold. But what has pandemic life been like for you guys?
We are all at home. My son he just finished 6th grade, so he's been doing online school at home. But again, he's a great student, so that has not required a lot of our attention. He's pretty good on his own. My husband owns hair salons, and so he cannot work right now. So he's been home and just taking the time to figure out what things look like when they go back. So I think in some ways that can be a positive, and I know it's also really hard. And I'm working from a corner of my bedroom, doing telehealth and doing my groups online. And in a lot of ways, like, yes, it's different and hard. And then in some ways it's kind of nice that everyone is here. Like, I don't think that I realized how much time I spent away from home and in the office until I'm in a session and I hear them downstairs laughing and I smell the dinner cooking, and I'm like, I want to be sitting at the dinner table right now. So yeah, we're all here together and figuring it out.
I was wondering what Adam did, because I've seen pictures of you on Facebook with him coloring your hair. So I wasn't sure if he just like learned how to do that, or if that's kind of his trade and what he's done.
No, he's a licensed stylist, but now he just owns, so he has 3 locations, and he has like 30 employees that work for him. And it's nice to be able to get to know them and have different ones do my hair. And yeah, so that's what he does.
So what do you guys enjoy doing like together as a family with your son?
Yeah, we do a lot of games. So my son is an avid D&D player, Dungeons and Dragons. So sometimes he'll rope us into like 3 to 6 hour games of that. We do a lot of board games. A favorite over quarantine has been charades. We crack up laughing. We do, I don't know if either of you know about Jackbox.tv, but so it's like online games and there's word games and there's ones where you're like designing t-shirts. So we like to play a lot of games. My son also likes to go out to restaurants. I think that's been a loss for all of us. Like we're foodies, so we like to go out and experience new things like that.
I'm curious as to how you've kind of grown into some of your self-care practices and like shutting things down. Was that easy for you? Was that hard? And what is it that you do to really self-care?
I think that question comes with the assumption that I do that, and I'm not sure I do that.
I've seen times where you posted on Facebook like, I'm going away, I'm shutting it off. No.
Yes. Well, yes, but sometimes it's because I'm at a point where I have to throw my phone across the room. And I think I'm pretty like honest and transparent that I'm not the best at self-care, or no, not the best at boundaries with my business and my life, because my business is such a big part of my life and it's a big part of my identity. When I relax, it is things where I have to schedule to relax. So massages, spas, places where I'm wearing a robe and don't have my phone, that's me having like downtime. But other than that, they're very intertwined. And I know that's what most people say is not healthy. It's also how I build mastery, and I really like get jazzed about and I feel good about these things. Like creating is my self-care. So it really aligns with what I'm doing. And so I think for me, it's just being intuitive about how do I feel right now and what do I need? Do I need to step back and do nothing? And, you know, for me, a lot of times it's just watching Netflix or something like that, or going out with a friend. Or do I want to be working on this right now? Do I feel good doing this? And sometimes that's Group Guru and sometimes that's my practice, but it's just tuning into what I need and doing that thing.
Yeah. And then how do you and Adam navigate that, being that he's an entrepreneur? He also has 3 different locations for his salons, and you guys kind of have similar business models a little bit, although different professions.
Yeah, we have some rules around when we can talk business. So when we work out, when we're in our gym together, it's no business time. That's just like couple time and self-care time. When we're eating dinner, that's no phones time and it's conversation time as a family. So there are times when we say like, these are the no business times so that we can recharge, so that we can focus on each other. But it's also difficult when you get a text at 9:00 at night and something's going on, you can't always hold to those boundaries. So we just make it work. Nice. And I think to some extent, that's the balance for us of like, we have so much independence. We're not in a 9-to-5 job. We're very fortunate to be able to have most of the things that we want in our lives. And with that comes some of these other stressors. So we remind ourselves of that.
I'm curious about your favorite place to vacation.
So my favorite place to vacation, and this is Sandusky, Ohio. That is where Adam is from. He's from Ohio, and his family has a lake house out there, and they have like, what is it called? Like a lighthouse separate apartment. So we can stay in a lighthouse and we can stay on the lake. Go out on a boat. There's Cedar Point as an amusement park. So we can go like ride roller coasters, go to the beach, float on the water all day. And it's just so simple and fun. And there's no expectation, and surrounded by people that I love and that love me and my family. And so, it's not the most exotic place, but that's the place where I feel the most at peace and I really enjoy being.
I mean, staying in a lighthouse on a lake sounds like an amazing experience. And it sounds a little bit like my grandparents have a lake house up in Michigan in the middle of nowhere. You have to drive like 30 minutes to go to the gas station. And it's so nice to go up there and disconnect. It sounds kind of similar to that.
Exactly. Just disconnect and be around, do what you want. Yeah.
Awesome.
Katie, what's something on your bucket list? And it doesn't have to be travel. If it is, that's cool.
Oh no, I don't know if I have an answer to this one. Like, what's something that I want to do that I haven't done yet? I want to go to Europe. So that is travel. I want to take my family to Europe. I want to travel a little bit more. But in terms of like a specific thing that I really want that I haven't gotten yet, I don't know what else there is. Sorry, that was a boring answer.
Where would you want to go in Europe? What would be on the agenda?
So my son has talked a lot about wanting to go to England. We have family that now lives in Germany. So we have some places that are kind of like on the map where we would want to go, but there's no place specifically in my mind that like I must go. It's just the experience of other places and other cultures that I think is helpful and important.
Very cool.
I love traveling. It's definitely, and I try to travel without an expectation, right? Like just kind of be open to the experience of it all. And it's very cool. Katie, if you weren't in the field of therapy, mental health, what would you be doing?
So easy. I would be a high school English teacher. Like, no doubt. I've thought about this. I was just talking to my friends about our high school English teacher, and I was like, yeah, she made me want to be an English teacher. So that's where I would be. I think like when I come back to it, being with teens and supporting them and helping them grow is really where my heart lies. So doing that in one way or another.
That's awesome. I loved working with teens. Like a big portion of my work was with youth and family, and I so enjoyed that. And then I just think I got like older and adult and not as hip and cool anymore and couldn't connect as well. But then just really loved falling into working with couples, and I really enjoyed that. So
I sometimes wonder about that, like, because when teens are like, I want to work with like a young, relevant therapist, like, I'm not going to be young and relevant forever. I don't even know if I am now. I fool them with my hair, but so I totally feel that things change.
I think I was going to say, I think now is a good time to probably transition into the lightning round, unless you wanted to ask one more question, Katie.
One more question. I just want to know who or what inspires you?
Who or what inspires me? I didn't know this question would be so hard. So I don't really know if that's an okay answer. I have a hard time looking at or listening to other people and what they're doing and what they're saying because I have so much stuff in my own head. I would say that if I'm looking at like who I look up to, a lot of like AOC and what she's doing, social justice wise, or like Tina Fey or Amy Poehler and how they're making an impact as like females in the profession. So things like that inspire me to want to be better and make me feel empowered. But there's no one person that I follow that is really the person that's like the epitome of what I want to be.
Gotcha. Cool. But hey, that's your answer. That's your reality. That's all we want.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's jump into the lightning round. And this is where we just kind of ask you quick questions and you just answer them on the fly. Kate, did you want to start?
Sure. I'll kick it off. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Poor customer service.
Good one.
So feel that. Do you wear any funky or patterned socks?
Yes, almost all of them are funky or patterned and have dogs of some sort on them.
What's the superhero that would be most like you?
Oh, Batman. I don't know. I should know that. I don't know.
It's so funny because Kate and I had our interview done and one of actually Startup Nation interviewed us. And I was like, I posted like days later. I was like, wait, this is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I need to think about that one. I'll follow up. I just pulled one out of the top of my head. But.
Favorite junk food?
Ice cream. Coconut milk ice cream.
Okay. Any flavor specifically?
There's one that's snickerdoodle, so it's like little pieces of gluten-free cookies and cinnamon and vanilla coconut milk ice cream. Delish.
I like the salted caramel one, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's good too.
What is your favorite go-to business outfit?
Some sort of black pants and some sort of shirt. I think I have like 4 outfits that I rotate. But it's usually black pants and some like express blouse that's comfortable.
What is your dog's name?
Penny.
Yeah. What's your favorite spirit animal?
Unicorn.
Oh, nice.
That's a good
I've been
one.
loving unicorns. Would you rather vacation in the mountains or at the beach?
Mountains, no contest. I'm not really a beach person. I can't be in the sun.
What's your favorite song?
And my first thought was Amazing by Aerosmith.
Nice. One of your favorite business books?
Book Yourself Solid, Michael Port. It's the classic.
Good one. Totally read that.
And what's on your bucket list for this summer 2020?
Get out of the house.
Yes.
So speaking of that, what's like one thing that's kept you sane during quarantine? We'll make that the last question.
Having a routine and having time to myself. So making sure that I wasn't just working or being with family and I had actual space that was just me time.
Awesome. Well, Katie, we so appreciate you like playing along and being willing to be open and vulnerable and allow us to ask you these questions. We know that your peeps and other people will definitely want to check this out and know a little bit more about you. So we so appreciate that. Startup Nation, thanks for joining us. And don't forget to check out the next episode of Up Close and Personal. And we had also done a previous Up Close and Personal with 5 other practice builders and coaches. So you definitely want to check that out. The link is right on the landing page. If you guys landed on the landing page, if not, head back over to the website and there you'll find us so you can listen to more people as we get up close and personal with them.
Good stuff. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.